Hello everyone, my name is Olivia and today I wanted to do a mini journal flip through of my journal from 2019, and it is a true hunker. It is a gigantic journal that I have filled with every single memory from 2019, and rather than showing you every single page, I have decided that I'm no longer going to be doing full journal flip throughs because I want to have some semblance of privacy online, and having people look through my journal just feels very off for me now that I think about it. So I'm going to just show you the highlights from this journal, the pages that I am most proud of. So instead of explaining anything further, let's just get right into it. So on the cover, I have a couple of stickers that I have acquired throughout the year that I just really enjoy and I feel like encompasses my personality. So we have a vintage Coke sticker, we have a Hamilton Just You Wait sticker, we have a V for Vendetta sticker, it's one of my favorite movies of all time, and then we have a Chimmy sticker because Jimin is my bias from BTS. Yes, I listen to BTS, in case you didn't know. And then we have an adorable little bee sticker, and it is living in a flower house, and this is just like my hodgepodge cover of my journal. But let's get into my journal because I know that's what you're all here for. So the first couple of pages of my journal was inspired by Beautiful Boy, which is a movie on Amazon Prime. It was such a heartbreaking movie, and towards the end of the movie itself, when the credits are rolling, you hear Timothée Chalamet reciting a poem called Let It Enfold You by Charles Bukowski, and the poem was just so beautiful that I had to print it out and put it into my journal so I could read back on it years from now, months from now, or even weeks from now. And it takes up 2 pages, so this is the first page and this is the second page, and I also printed out a poster from Beautiful Boy. This is my only journal collage in this specific journal where I journaled to the side because the photo is so long, but it is a photo that I got from a magazine that I thought was absolutely beautiful, and I got a quote from Tumblr and it says, "Angels would damn themselves for me" by Charles Baudelaire, and I just thought it was such a beautiful magazine spread that I had to insert into my journal itself. I'm like trying to show you in a very like aesthetically pleasing way, but hopefully you can see all of it. And behind it I put some magazine pages and another magazine page as well to create some texture and some depth to this specific collage. One page that I did was a simplistic little collage, and I had a quote from an Ariana Grande song that I listened to so much in the beginning of the year. It actually was one of my most listened to songs in 2019, and it is the song Leave Me Lonely, and I adore this song. I have this like very hot opinion that this is Ariana Grande's best song, so if you have not heard Leave Me Lonely, I would highly recommend that you do. And this is just a little page that I had dedicated to that song that just captured my heart for the beginning of January. The next page is a Daisy Jones and the Six inspired journal spread. This is a novel by Taylor Jenkins Reid. It is one of my favorite books of 2019, and after you read Daisy Jones and the Six and you listen to the Civil War's last album right before they broke up, you realize that all those songs somewhat correlate and relate to Daisy Jones and the Six, the novel itself. So I have a quote from the Civil War song, The One That Got Away, and then I made a very much Daisy Jones inspired collage, and I am really proud of how this came out. It is one of my favorite collages of this journal, and I just love the look of it. The next page is another collage inspired by Taylor Jenkins Reid's other novel, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This is my absolute favorite novel by Taylor Jenkins Reid. It is about old Hollywood, it's about a like femme fatale, and it is just a wonderful novel. So clearly I had to make a journal spread for it in order to commemorate one of my favorite books of all time, and again, I am really proud of how these 2 collages came out, and I got all these pictures from Pinterest, so I do not own any of these photos. I just simply printed them out for my own enjoyment to create a collage for myself. The next very simplistic collage is from the day where we all saw Game of Thrones, and we saw that scene and had the most wonderful quote of all, and it says, "What do we say to the god of death? not today. That quote sticks in my mind for days upon days upon days. It's 2020 and I still think about that quote. It's one of my favorite quotes from Game of Thrones, so I most definitely had to put it in my 2019 journal because it was just one of the biggest moments in terms of entertainment in 2019, and it just left me reeling. Every single month I start off the month with a kind of title spread and then a movies I've seen in insert month list, because that's just how I like to start off every single month to create separation. And this is one from June from 2019, and I just really like how it came out. It's very pink, it's very cute, and I just wanted to show you what one title page would look like for a month that I did in 2019. The next couple of pages are from my trip to Disney World, and it is just a hodgepodge of things that I got from Disney World along with some photos that I took there as well. So this is when I went to Epcot. This is a mixture of Epcot and when I went to Magic Kingdom. And here is another spread from Disney World as well. And this is when we went to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, mixed with a little bit of Magic Kingdom. There's something really fun about pasting in photos from trips and printing them out and just collecting little memorabilia from those trips, because it's just a wonderful way to look back on those memories and smile. And it's somewhat like scrapbooking. It's not as official as scrapbooking, but I still really enjoy it. So on the left page, I just have a trip that I took to Central Park with my friend Roxy, but on the right is a collage that I'm really proud of. And this is a quote from Sabrina, which is a movie that Audrey Hepburn was in, and she said, "I shall be the most sophisticated woman." And this is a picture of Angelina Jolie that I got from a magazine, and I took out the window that she was sitting beside and I put some book paper behind it, and I think it just creates a really cool type of collage, and I just was really inspired by photos that I have seen of collages similar to this on Pinterest, so I just really enjoy how this one came out. Over on the right we have a Pinterest photo inspired collage from Stranger Things, because the newest season of Stranger Things had came out during this time, and I had to create a 80s inspired collage from that show because it's one of my favorite shows on Netflix, and it was just such a treat. It's most definitely my favorite season of Stranger Things. And here is my most prized collage of this specific journal. I call this my Pride and Prejudice inspired collage, just because all these beiges and all these hues just remind me of Pride and Prejudice if it were to be set in modern times. So I got this from a book that I no longer wanted anymore, but I was just using for scrap paper, and then I got all these photos from different magazines and created a collage that I'm most definitely very proud of. Here is another monthly title and a movies I've seen in July list that I am also very proud of. It reminds me of a sunset because it's filled with yellows and oranges and pinks. This is a time when I went to see a movie night in Bryant Park in New York City, and this is just an example of getting different pieces of paper from an event and creating a collage out of it. So we have some papers that I got from the event itself, and then we also got photos as well, and this is where I wrote about our time during the event, and the movie we saw was Goodfellas, so I cut out the little bit of information they had about the movie. And lastly, to relate to my previous page, I have a Goodfellas inspired collage. This is from a magazine that my dad had ripped out for me because he knows I'm very much interested in just like organized crime. It's just something that I'm very interested in for some reason. The way people are interested in true crime, I'm interested in organized crime. It's just something that I find really interesting to research and look up and see the history of. So using this main quote as inspiration, I decided to make a Goodfellas inspired page because again, that's one of my favorite movies of all time. So I got a quote from another magazine, and it says, "A mask tells us more than a face," and that is by Oscar Wilde. I printed out a couple of photos from Goodfellas, and then I also put the first line from Goodfellas, which is one of its most famous quotes, and it says, because as far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster, and I really love how this spread came out as well. I really enjoy doing collages in my journal because it helps me express myself a lot creatively, and it's also fun to rip out pages from magazines and come up with a whole little piece of art that's all your own, and it's just fun to express yourself through that. So those are some of my favorite pages from my 2019 journal. This isn't a full flip through, but I did want to show you some highlights from the journal that I'm really proud of. Hopefully it inspires you to create journal collages or different types of spreads that I showed you in my journal. If you have any questions about specific materials I use, or if you have any questions, be sure to comment them down below and I will be sure to answer them for you. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope you had fun looking through this journal with me.